This week on The Woman Behind the Business, Grief, Loss, and the Rebirth. You know me, I'm your host, Angel Livis, and today we're going to take you on an emotional roller coaster, one that challenges social norms, battles grief and loss, overcomes abuse, and ultimately finds peace to rest. The death of a loved one is never easy, especially when it's the loss of a parent. But imagine losing your soul parent that not only gave you life, but breathed it into you daily. This was the reality for our guest, Kinyatta E. Author of 30 Days, Surviving Trauma, Unexpected. Surviving the trauma and unexpected loss of a single parent as an only child and the CEO of Flights and Stilettos. Especially when it's the loss of a parent. Sounds like we have. Imagine losing your soul parent that not only. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Yes. So, at this time, I'm super excited to introduce you all to our guest, Miss Kinyatta. Kinyatta, thank you so much for being here. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so honored to be meeting with you this evening.
Yes. All right. So, first, I have to tell you that it was amazing to read your book. And I have to applaud you for just being so unapologetically honest about your journey and your story. It's not something that I find that most people are able to really do and be very transparent with it. So, kudos
Thank you so much.
All right. Now, what gave you the courage to write your first book so quickly? Because a lot of the events transpired less than 2 years ago. So
exactly.
I find that a number of people have a hard time actually diving in and getting it done. How were you able to do that successfully?
Well, it was, because I knew why I wanted to do it. And that was because I wanted to honor my mother's legacy. She was not able to complete being an author before her passing. And so I was driven to go the extra way or to complete that step for her and become a published author.
Now, how important was it to your mom to really write a book? Like, was that one of her things that she had always told you, hey, I want to be an author? Or did she actually start writing a book? Like, how did you know that was something that she was really compelled to do?
So my mom was a writer. That's what she did. She wrote plays. She wrote skits. She wrote manuals for work, training manuals. That was her thing. That's what she was known for doing. However, she just never completed the actual step of publishing her work or becoming an author. So it was something that was like a dream of hers. It was her passion. If she could quit her day job and just write, that's what she would do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And so you found yourself being able to complete that for her.
Exactly. I had to complete that for her.
Okay. No, that's good. Now, you and your mom had an undeniable bond. It was very much a yin and yang relationship. However, I would say that you found yourself in some uncompromising situations, or dare I say unhealthy and even abusive relationships. Why do you feel as though you stayed in those relationships for as long as you did?
Right. So those relationships were earlier on in my life, in my teens and through early 20s. And so I found myself in a situation where the abuser was also my sole caretaker, my sole provider. And so it was, I didn't have the wherewithal that I do now to make different kinds of decisions. So back then, I felt like, okay, this is what I had to do in order to survive and to help my mom.
And so, so in surviving and helping your mom, why did you, because you were on the brink of, crazy, cray-cray,
Yeah. Well, because the person, that was ultimately my abuser was also, like, a father figure to me.
Mm-hmm.
He was somebody that really helped me and my mom along the way. So it was hard to part with someone that I felt was taking care of me and my mom after my mom and I were abandoned by my stepfather. And so this person, although unhealthy, unsavory, all of those horrible things, stepped in to fill a role that was desperately needed at that time.
Now, are your children by that person?
Correct.
Oh, Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's fast forward then. Okay,
Right.
so we're in this situation, um, and your mother seems to be like a very spiritual person.
Right.
How did you handle explaining to her that you were entering into a same-sex relationship, or did you have any personal qualms with that, or was it just the worry of what other people would say?
No, I was definitely concerned about what my mom would say, but since I am her only child, her only blood relative, I felt relatively confident that she would support me. And she tried to find a way to love me and support me, but still stay true to whatever her beliefs were, her religious beliefs were. She tried to find that happy medium somewhere. And so, no, I didn't feel fearful of telling her. I just felt fearful of what she would experience or suffer from people in her circle and in her church community as a result of my life choices.
Now, with as part of your life choices, did you have any hard times dealing with it or saying, okay, yes, I can go against societal standards and live my best life because I'm willing to try this? Or what was it that allowed you to enter into that relationship, or it was just like it didn't matter?
Right. So it didn't matter. I've always been bisexual. And so I didn't necessarily look at gender first.
Okay.
And so then I happened to meet someone that, showed me love like never before. Offered me an opportunity of a lifetime to change my life along with my two children. And it was just an experience that I had never felt and didn't even think that it was going to ever happen to me. And so that is, what was, a lot of the reasoning as to why I decided to follow my heart.
I love it. Following your heart. That's important. All right.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people, I would say, seek love. However, it seems to be like a rarity that they truly, truly find it. And I feel like the love that you received from your mother was undeniable. Like, you were your mother's heartbeat. And I believe she even told you this in one of her text messages to you, right? So, what was that experience like for you? The first time you experienced a love similar to that you had been accustomed to only receiving from your mother?
It was a feeling that I never wanted to let go. I didn't want anything to come in between it. I was willing to do whatever it took to keep it and to have that in my life forever. Okay. So, whatever friends I had to lose, okay. Whatever it took to be able to feel the way that I felt, I was willing to make those sacrifices in my life.
I love it. Now, let me just do this quickly. We are speaking with Kinyatta E, the woman of 30 days, surviving the trauma and unexpected loss of a single parent as an only child. Now, you and your mom faced a number of hardships. What was the greatest challenge that you two had to face together?
I would say the greatest challenge that we had to face together was immediately after her second husband abandoned us. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and so we were instantly thrust into poverty and then trying to figure out how we were going to survive, literally the next day. How were we going to survive? We had a beautiful home that we had to let go. Just all of the things that you can imagine, like a married couple had, that we no longer had anymore. We didn't have security. We didn't have the financial support, the financial backing, things of that nature. So someone that was used to being a stay-at-home mom all of a sudden had to get out and work and, do all of those kinds of things to support us. Mm-hmm. So I think that was, and not in addition to having to do those things, dealing with the emotional trauma of being abandoned.
Right.
So my mother, she certainly went through her mental breakdown episodes, having to be hospitalized and, because of the trauma of being abandoned in that manner. And so I would say, being able to survive that and watching her as my mom be strong, and overcome it and still become something of herself, make something of herself, and despite, all that she had been through.
And during this time, you were in your teens, correct?
In my teens, like 16, 17, yeah.
So what did that teach you? Like, what did it, like, because I'm sure things like that, it leaves a mark with us. It's something that we never forget. So what did that do for you?
It absolutely did. One of the things that it taught me was to never depend on one individual for your sole source of support. To always be able to take care of yourself. Every person should have their own. Mm-hmm. That's one of the biggest lessons that it taught me, because I would never want to find myself. Someone walks out on me, I have nothing. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good. That's real good. And I think that's also applicable to you actually losing your mom.
Right.
All right. Now we're gonna move a little bit. I'm trying not to just dive right into that. But if there were a lot of things that I felt like that are a part of your story that add on the layers of how strong that relationship was with your mother. And I would even challenge to say that it probably still is, even though she's not physically here. Yeah. Would you say that that's true?
I absolutely say that it's true. Our relationship still exists, just in a different form. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, when your mother got sick, and this was in 2018, the fall of 2018, your 30 days started. It's funny, like, to even be able to think about if I look at COVID-19, something that everybody can relate to. What was your life like 30 days before, let's say, March 16th or March 23rd, when COVID became like a massive national stay-at-home order in the U.S.? When your mother first got sick, what were you initially thinking?
Right. So it wasn't a thing where she got sick and contracted this illness. She wasn't feeling well, and then when she went to the hospital, she was diagnosed with something. So it wasn't a thing where she was dealing with something that was terminal or anything that we thought that would be the end result. So her passing is still a shock to us. So it wasn't like we were dealing with, a cancer person, someone that had cancer or a long-term illness.
Right. No, she just had like a blockage, a blockage in her intestines, right?
Right.
But when you went to the hospital, and when you got that call where you and Julie were sitting and having dinner and enjoying yourselves, and got the call like, it's time to go.
Right.
When did you realize that things may not end the way that you had always projected them to? Or become accustomed to them ending?
Honestly, until it happened. Until it happened. Because, and I have to give credit to the nurses and the nursing staff, even though I saw my mom in a condition I had never seen her in, no one said she died. So I'm still thinking, okay, I still see the monitors. Everything is still beeping. There's still hope, and literally it was not until it happened that I'm like, oh my God, this is the end. My mom was very swollen, and the doctors and nurses would say, hey, don't worry about it. That's normal. That can go down. So, they were doing their job, giving me hope. But I was honestly believing it. And I wanted to believe it. So, literally, it wasn't until they called me into the room and said, okay, we need to talk about decisions now. And then her clergy was there, praying and saying, oh, no, Beverly, get up. So I'm still like, yeah, Mom, get up. So, yeah.
So, for people who are dealing with grief, dealing with loss, what would be like 3 things that you would tell them? I know at the back of the book you kind of nail a couple items out and really make it kind of like from your story, here are some
Right.
things that I would have done differently or wish I would have considered. What are three
Right.
things that you would have that you would recommend?
Right. So one thing that has helped me is to um, just not abandon their spirit. You know, just because they're not here in human form anymore, they still exist on the spiritual realm. Don't ignore them. Talk about them. Post about them. And I've done that so much that people have told me that they have been inspired to kind of keep the memory of their parent or loved one alive, through posting and pictures and things of that nature. Um, Figure out how you can keep their legacy alive. What are some of the things that they didn't complete that you can complete for them? What can you continue? Maybe they were an avid gardener. Keep that garden going. Do things like that that just really preserves their memory. And then above all else, like I said, continue to visit their resting spot. Spend time with them. Tell them, all the latest things that you would have talked about, but just really keep them present. Just don't forget about your loved ones once they have transitioned.
Now, your grandson. There were
Yes.
some moments in the book that were very powerful moments, i.e., her last touch of your grandson.
Yeah.
How important were those moments and those captures to her legacy?
Well, I mean, those are all the memories that we will ever have of her connecting with her grandson. She lived for her grandson. Her great grandson. She wanted to know that baby. She probably would have quit her job to move in to help raise the baby. And so it was very important for us to capture those moments. But again, when we captured those moments, we didn't know that those were going to be the final moments. So I'm just happy that we were the kind of family that took a lot of pictures, documented a lot of things, because now we have those things to reflect on and refer back to.
Right. Now, what was another, I'm going to go here. You were very suicidal.
Yes.
After the death of your mother. Even though your daughter was on the brink of delivering your grandson, or the baby shower was supposed to be in December,
Right.
how were you able to overcome that state that you were in to be able to eventually be to where you are today?
Yeah. So, I definitely had a lot of spiritual intervention, mental health intervention, and then literally the love and support of my spouse, Julie, and my children. And there was one key question that my spouse, Julie, asked me that really helped me to put things in perspective. And that was, is your mom the only person that you loved? And it was something about when she said that, and are we not enough for you to keep going? Don't you want to be here for Carter, my grandson? And there was something about that statement that helped me to turn the corner a little bit. So,
and so you had the support of your family.
Right.
You had spiritual support, and you also went to make sure that you built a relationship with a therapist.
Absolutely. I could not have done it without.
And how important would you say, because I personally believe after COVID-19, the whole world probably needs a little bit of therapy.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on therapy as a means of helping overcome trauma?
Right. So I think that it's very critical if you are able or in a position to seek therapy, because they help you to process and work through and give you alternative ways and methods to think about things where, the trauma is not that it doesn't still hurt, but you can put it in a place where it just doesn't hurt as much, and you can kind of focus on what is current, what is present, what is still real in your life, So it was very helpful from that aspect.
I love it. Now, growing up, you really only had your mother as a sense of family or even community. And your mother was adopted, so it's
Right.
not like you had this huge bloodline that you could turn to in times of need or just support.
Right.
How important is family to you today?
Family is very important to me, but I'm so used to almost like not having any, just me and my mom. But I appreciate family, but I'm okay with it just being my spouse, and my two kids and my grandson. But I do have a lot of paternal aunts and uncles, but we just don't connect as much as we could. And after so many years, you just become accustomed to just being in your own little small nucleus. And so, but do I think family is important? Of course I do. And do I wish things were different? Yeah. Do I wish things were different when I was growing up? Absolutely. But this is where we are.
Now, have you implemented or established family traditions for your immediate family?
Yeah, so we try to carry on some of the traditions that we had when my mom was around. So yeah, I would say so.
So you guys still do family night once a month?
Yes, we still try to get together once a month. Actually, it's on Sundays. So yeah, we still try to do that. Yeah.
Okay. Good. And so, how old is your grandson now?
Carter, he's a little over 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Now, throughout your entire journey, what would you say is the number one thing? Now, would you say that you're a spiritual person? Would you say that you, would you say that you're a spiritual person?
I'm very spiritual.
When would you say was the hardest time that you have ever prayed?
Say it again.
When would you say was the hardest time that you have ever prayed?
After the doctor said we needed to make a decision, and with my mom, and those nights following, when the reality of losing her was sinking in, I was like, God, please help me, please help me, please help me. So yeah, those times, and I still do pray.
What would you say was, I'm guessing you probably relied a lot on your spouse to help you in making that decision, or was it just something that you just said, I have to do this for myself and what I know is best for my mom? Because essentially you guys took her off the breathing machine, but that
Correct.
decision was left completely on you.
Yeah, so the decision was mine as her only living relative. However, my mom actually was a very loved person. So maybe about 30 of her friends were there, and I invited them into the room to help me deal with it and to help me speak to the doctors. One of her best friends was an ER doctor, so she was there. And so I don't want to say it was a group decision, but I definitely had people around me that were her closest friends, saying, well, Kinyatta, you really need to think about, what you need to do. So, yeah, it wasn't just Julie and I and my two kids. There were about 30 of her closest friends that were there, including her clergy.
Okay. No, that's awesome. So you at least had that support.
I really did, yeah.
That's good. Now, how important would you say it is to, if you are going through something like this, and you realize that people aren't stepping up to the plate. Maybe they don't understand the severity of a situation. I often find that sometimes we will retreat and we will stay in our shells because we feel like clearly nobody cares because nobody's reaching out. Ain't nobody coming down to check on us at the hospital. Nobody's sending flowers.
Right.
What did you do differently than that to ensure that people understood the severity of what this situation was?
Right. So when my mom was in the hospital, she was kind of experiencing just that. And I think it was because people just didn't realize the severity, because my mom had kind of goes in and out of the hospital a couple of times before. And so they just didn't know how severe it was. And so I got upset about it, you know. And so I actually posted a Facebook message on Facebook, you know, probably inappropriate, not the best tactic, but that's what I did. And so probably within the next day or so, you know, the floodgates were open and her friends were coming up, and, you know, and I hated that I had to do that, but I'm like, you know, if the situation was reversed, my mom would have been there by your side, you know, come on now. So.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, this has been awesome talking to you about your book. We're going to continue our conversation, but we're going to take a quick break. Okay. And when we return, we're going to learn all about flights and stilettos, which Kinyatta is the woman behind. So we're going to take a quick break, and I would love for you to stay with us. We'll be right back after this. Good morning and welcome to Angel's Prayer Breakfast. I'm your host, Angel Livis, and I'm excited to spend this next 60 minutes.
How sweet. Fill up the room, oh God. We enlarge you this morning. I just thank you, oh God.
Oh Lord, I'm available to you.
There is nothing you have going on in your life that can change God from being who God is.
Because I know that the stars keep record of the moments of joy that I find, because when I'm in it.
And so I want to share with you 3 things to help you manage your unwanted emotions and your feelings in life.
Because you are God, and beside you, there is no other.
Not one, no, not one.
Okay, welcome back. All right, so we are speaking with Kinyatta E, who is the author of 30 Days, which essentially recounts her life prior to her mother passing in 2018. Now, Kinyatta is also the proud founder, CEO of Flights and Stilettos. Yeah. Talk to us about these flights and stilettos, Kinyatta. What is this all about?
Right. So Flights and Stilettos is a brand and a business that I started, and it was literally based on my real life travel experience, traveling through the airport, you know, in stilettos and looking glam, like, you know, movie star. And so one day I was going on a trip, and a friend, you know, invited me to join a travel club. Mm-hmm. And so when I decided to join the travel club, my handle for the travel club was Flights and Stilettos. And so when the friend heard the handle, she was like, oh my God, Kinyatta, you need to make t-shirts. So t-shirts evolved into this whole big thing with Flights and Stilettos.
And so who is Flights and Stilettos for? Like, why did you make it into a brand?
Right. So Flights and Stilettos is really, it's like a movement. It's for any woman. The whole point of Flights and Stilettos is to, you know, encourage women to put their best selves forward when traveling, okay? And so during my travels, you know, I would see women come into the airport looking more like they were going to go to bed. Yes. And so I was like, wow, you know, is that really putting your best self forward? So it's just all about, you know, just taking that one extra minute to think about how you're showing up, how you're presenting, and putting your best self forward when traveling.
Now, did you ever have an encounter? Because I know I've had some airplane encounters that are all wonderful. But did you have any encounters where you were like, I'm so glad I look the way that I do, and I did not come up in here in my house shoes and a headscarf?
No, I mean, I've always had a positive experience when traveling, because I do things like I carry custom luggage that has my face on my luggage, and so the flight attendants are like, who is she? So I get treated, you know, with a whole lot of love. They show me a lot of love in the airport, and the flight attendants and things of that nature. So, yeah, it's fun.
Are the luggage sets, is that part of your collection? Is that something that people have access to through your brand?
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. So I partner with a company, and so through my website, you can actually place an order for a custom luggage. And a lot of people like to order the custom luggage and put their logos on it for their businesses and things of that nature. Even as an author, I have had a custom suitcase made with my book covers on the picture so that when I'm rolling through, it's instant advertisement.
Right.
Free at that.
And so how much do your suitcases start at? Like, what is the price range or something like that?
They're very reasonable. So for a travel size case, it starts at $149, and then for a more full size suitcase that would need to be checked in, that is $179.
Okay, yeah, that's not.
They're beautiful.
Now, are they durable? Because we know how these airlines throw and crack and break and.
Right. So yes. So I have had people travel with them and, for whatever the reason, are forced to check them in. And I hate when they have to do that because obviously you put this beautiful artwork on it and you run the risk of it getting scratched.
Yeah.
But your suitcase is going to be intact with the wheel still on, the handle still on. You're going to be good.
You're not going to come back with a 3-wheeler.
No. No.
I love it. All right. So when you created this brand, who did you have in mind as that woman? I mean, is there a collection for men? Is it specifically for women? I mean, I don't think a whole lot of men are running around the airport in stilettos, but hey, no judgment.
So it's specifically geared for women, and I just think of like what you would call like a travelnista, someone who really like puts a lot into packing when they go away on vacation. I mean, they have their body jewelry, the matching sandals, the matching cover up. Is interested in taking that extra step is just to make sure that they look good. Someone that's fashionable, but I always say that flights and stilettos really is for everyone, and the name flights and stilettos is cute and catchy, but you don't have to wear stilettos. Your fashion, your travel style might include a nice cardigan and some cute little Prada flats or something like that. It's all in what you make it, but it's just about personalizing it and then putting your best self forward.
Right. Now, what are some of your other products? So we have the suitcase, which I will definitely be grabbing mine. What are some other entities that are part of your product line?
Right. So my own personal product line, I have my own branding. It's something that I'm really, really proud of, and they are called the Glam Girl Beach Towels. And so I have my own line of beach towels, and most of them are designed to depict women of color in a stylish and sophisticated way at the beach. And then I came out with another towel this year. It's called Shades of Beauty, and it includes the African American woman, a Caucasian woman, and a Latino woman, because I didn't want to be, excluding anyone. And so, but that's the Glam Girl Beach Towels. Those are my signature products because they have my own label, my own branding, my own artwork. In addition to that, t-shirts, of course, glitter passport covers, sequin beach cover-ups, silk eye masks, anything that you can think of that that you would probably need when you're traveling.
Anything super duper feminine and elegant. That's what it sounds like.
Exactly.
All right. What is your desire as it relates to growing this brand? Like, where do you see it going?
Right. So if I could wave the magic wand, I would love to see the Glam Girl Beach Towels in a local retailer near you. And not only that, I would love to see them in resorts and at the airports. Okay. That would be just the epitome of it all. That's what I'm working toward.
Now, but what about the overarching Flights and Stilettos brand? Like, is that something that you want to, because are you still working your full-time job while this is just on the side? Like, what is that looking like?
Right. So until such time that I can make enough revenue, then yes, I will definitely still keep my job, but my regular full-time job. But, I really am hoping that, through a lot of exposure, that these beach towels can be noticed, and I get that one call, hey, we have a PO for $1 million. My job, I'm like, deuces. We're gonna fulfill, that customer's demand. So yeah, I hope that the brand continues to grow and just get more exposure. And I feel like the more exposure that it gets, I'm getting that much closer to someone actually really recognizing it and saying, hey, let's invest in this brand.
Well, I'm going to throw out that you should totally consider becoming part of the Main Hustle Executive Program. which is part of I have a book called Side Hustle to Main Hustle, and it's all about helping you transition into full-time entrepreneurship. So
Nice.
getting you those clients, getting that visibility so that you can make that transition.
Oh, I'm all for it. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, now what's next? I mean, you have these things going for you. You've overcome a lot of adversity. What is next for Kinyatta?
Right. So actually, within the next week or so, I am launching a new book, a new product, and it's called "So You Want to Be an Author." And so the purpose of that is to just kind of educate someone that is an aspiring author, and it's going to give them the tools and the suggestions, the 10 top things that I wish I would have known as an aspiring author. And so along with that, I will offer, like 20-minute consultations for those new aspiring authors. So that is like one of the newest things that I am doing to kind of extend, the author branding, if you will.
So in other words, you got the writer's bug.
I think I would do anything else, but I was getting so many messages, like people sliding into my DMs. Hey, can I pick your brain for this? And I'm like, okay, let me put this in a book and sell it. So, yeah.
Are you going through Pen Legacy to write the second book?
Right. So, the book is actually going to be. It's not going to be published, like normal publishing. Okay. It's just going to be an ebook that's created, and it's going to reside on my website.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense.
It'll be copywritten and all that stuff, but yeah, it's not going through the normal publishing.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And I love how it's like this kind of intergenerational mix, because you started off writing this book for your mom,
right? And
now you're writing for you, and to help others. So now it's not just, so it's like this evolving cycle.
Right.
No, I love that. I love it. So we have the book coming out. We have Flights and Stilettos, and we have your existing book, 30 Days.
Yeah.
What is it that you would say that you would have told your younger self to help prepare you for life and the life that you ended up leading up to this point?
Wow, that's a good question. Whew. I guess growing up, I saw limitations. And so, what I would have told my younger self is that you really can do whatever you set out to do. You just have to have a purpose to fuel that passion. And I think that, if I would have known that, I probably would have embarked on so many different things even before now, because a lot of my why is driven by just trying to fulfill things for my mom and just trying to create this legacy, but I didn't think about those things back then. But if I had thought about what can I do now to start building a legacy, who knows where I would have been today.
No, I love it. I love it. Now, what would you say are the things that you instill and inspire in your grandson? I know he's only one, but what are those things that because part of legacy building is leaving the legacy for those, your offspring. Right. So what are some of those things that you want to instill in him?
Right. So first and foremost, to definitely honor and cherish his mother and his father, and to, like you said, it's hard to think because he's only one. So I can probably think about what I'm going to teach him in the future. But right now, it's all about just, exploring this world, not being scared to touch that bug, just be open, and definitely honor and love your mommy and daddy.
Now, this is going to be a little deeper, okay? With the ridiculous rate of brutalities and killings of African American men, being that you have a grandson, and I have 2 boys, and one of the things that I have always wondered, at what point do they turn from being cute and amazingly adorable little kids to becoming a threat. Have you thought about how you may prepare your grandson
Right.
for life as a black man in America?
I have a 25-year-old son.
Well, then even for your son.
Yeah, yeah. And so, that's a hard one. But I guess if I look at Carter, when you think about Tamir Rice, he was 7 years old, or 9 or something like that, and he was a threat. So that lets me know that, I probably need to start thinking about those kinds of issues a lot earlier. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be when he's 16 and driving. It could be when he's 7 years old playing outside, so, yeah. I think maybe around that time is when it's time to start having those not scary conversations, because what I don't want for my son or my grandson is to go out here and be fearful,
right?
Not living their lives, but I want you to be aware, and I want you to be educated, and I want you to know how to respond appropriately.
And so is there something that you share with your son, like words of encouragement
I do. We do. Every time that there is an incident, such as what we just know in the media that has just happened, I'm like, Dominique, what do you think about that? How do you feel about that? Does that make you feel scared? How would you have handled those? So we have those kinds of discussions. And so my son, he's very intelligent, graduated from Towson University. So he has a really mature, evolved way of thinking. And he is a thinker. And so I'm glad about that. And so I feel really confident that he would be able to handle himself in a way that probably would de-escalate a situation opposed to, it escalating,
right.
know. And I attribute that to him being smart, and then us having these open conversations all the time.
No, I agree. I think that having open dialogues is very, very important and very much a part of ensuring that our children are aware of how we feel about things, as well as giving them an outlet to share and raise their voice and their concerns of how all of this is affecting them and their concerns. So, all right. So we have come to the point in the show. I don't know if they prepared you for this, but it's called Our Moments from the Valley. Our Moments from the Valley is a time that you did not know how you were going to overcome a particular obstacle. So what we are asking of you is to share what that moment was, what that obstacle was, how you overcame it, and what was waiting for you on the other side.
Wow. So I would say one of those obstacles was a situation I was going through in a place of employment. And I was being sexually harassed, but not in it was because of my gender. And I was going through a significant amount of strife and heartache and things of that nature. But I got some courage and I got some grit from somewhere, and I took some appropriate action, and then I was able to get the relief that I deserved. And the people that were the abusers in that situation were very prestigious medical doctors. And so for someone that was essentially like a program administrator to be able to kind of fight back and overcome and win, that was something. But during that process, did I think I was going to win? Did I think I was going to endure? I thought I was going to be broke down and out of a job. But I fought back and won.
What gave you the courage to fight back?
Because I said, you know what, this has to stop, and if I'm going to be the person to make it stop, then I'll just do it. I'll put whatever it is on the line, but this has to stop, and I'm going to be the one to at least put it out there so that it can stop. It was just strength, grit, courage.
You didn't want to just leave? And I'm asking questions not because this is what I would do.
Right.
I understand. But I'm just saying, like, I know a lot of people would tend to feel like, I'm just going to leave my job. Like, this is too much.
So, yeah, so I was actually transferred out, you know. So I wasn't, at a certain point, I was no longer day-to-day dealing with those kind of issues. So I was transferred out, but that was still kind of part of an issue with the whole situation because I wanted to be able to do my job. I loved my job. I liked the environment that I was working in, but for, the harassment that I was receiving. So, and, sometimes it's just not easy to find another job that's going to pay you where you can sustain your lifestyle, So sometimes you have to just make decisions. But, like I said, in the end, I won, and I was able to take my kids to Disney World and everywhere else.
Now, when you say it was like gender issues, you're saying other people were being promoted above you, like they were not paying you attention. Like, give us a little bit more.
So the supervisor in question was from a different culture and was not accustomed to treating women with dignity and respect.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Awesome. I understand that. Enough said. All right. So, this has been awesome. Do you want to share some social media information so people can get in contact with you and stay connected?
Sure. Absolutely. So, my Instagram handles, I have two. One is Kinyatta E, the author, and that's, all things related to my books and my authorship. And then it's at flightsandstilettos.com. I'm sorry, at Flights and Stilettos on Instagram as well.
And the website you can go.
Sure. And so my website is flightsandstilettos.com. And then my author website is kinyattagray.com.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being our guest tonight, Kinyatta. It's been truly a pleasure. And like I said earlier, I felt like your book was a very authentic way to express the good, the bad, and the ugly of what your journey to growing into the amazing woman that you are today, the woman behind Flights and Stilettos, the author of 30 Days, and your upcoming book. Did you give us the name of the upcoming book?
Yeah, so the one that's coming up is called So You Want to Be an Author.
Okay, So You Want to Be an Author. So all of these amazing brands that are coming out and entities under your remarkable brand, I just applaud you. I celebrate you, and I just want you to know that you are doing remarkable things and leaving your own personal mark, not just for you, but creating a legacy and also finishing the legacy of your mother. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. And I like to say thank you. This is an absolute honor to be on your platform. You are an absolute legend in DC. So I am just totally thrilled to have been able to make this connection. And I certainly hope that this is the beginning of a connection and it's certainly not the end. So thank you for inviting me on your platform.
Oh, you're most welcome. And like I said, I'm getting my luggage. Definitely placing that order. All right, well, that is our show for today. You can check out past broadcasts on our website, wbbtalk.com. And if you're looking for a little motivation on Saturday mornings, you can join me for my weekly prayer breakfast. It is an hour of goodness from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. to get you filled, motivated, and prepared for the week ahead. You can also be sure to follow me on Instagram at AngelNLivis to learn how to access all of my special events. To check out the prayer breakfast, just go to angelsprayerbreakfast.com. And of course, follow the woman behind the business on social media at WBB Talk. It has been a pleasure having you all join us. We look forward to seeing you same place, same time next week. Until then, be blessed.